What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another video in our WordPress GPT chat log series. Sorry if you hear my squeaking chair, and if you hear the rain in the background, and you hear all the echo, you guys know. Oh, by the way, I got a Yeti microphone. Can't you hear the crystal clear difference? Can ya? All right, well, I hope you can, because I paid like $100 for it so I could get better audio quality. And also, I'm sorry for the slow speed of release. I have like literally 8 projects going right now, and they're all very in-depth and require a lot of time. So I'm working like 15 hours a day on stuff. Okay, so let's close up this stuff. Let's tighten it up here. All right, so in our last video, we saved plugin options in our GPT plugin in WordPress, and today we're not going to be accessing the front end of the plugin at all. We're going to be creating a new GPT Talker class, as the title would obviously suggest. And so let's get right onto that. This is going to be broken into multiple parts to make it easy, so it's not one long, like 30-minute video. All right, so in the includes, we're going to make a new file. Remember that all of our class plugin type power things are in here. And so we're going to make a new file in here, and we're going to call this... let's follow the naming convention. Class GPT, let's call it chat. Let's just call it chat database. And that's good. All right, booyah, look at that. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna kind of go the long way around in programming this. And we're gonna keep it real short. We're gonna open up a new class. We're gonna make sure we do a little bit of commenting, and then I'll show you, we're gonna have 4 functions in this class. We're gonna have create or insert a message. We're going to have getting the last message, we're going to have getting all messages, and we're going to have clearing our chat log, okay? That's what's going to be accessible from here. So first off, we got to open up the PHP in here. Now we could just copy this from another one, but I also think that sometimes it's better to go the long way around in the case of teaching. So let's just say this like handles database interactions for our GPT chat log. Okay, that's good. And also, usually you want to put a package in here because that's how WordPress is. Let's just say package GPT Talker. Excellent. All right, now that little bit of housekeeping's done, let's open up the class, baby. We're going to go chat and database. GPT chat database. I think that sounds good. Yeah, it sounds good. Give us a little bit of space, man. Excellent. Okay, now we have opened a new class that's going to talk to our database, but we do need to do some other things, right? Like we need to give a table name. We need to get the table name in here. And as you guys probably remember, we named it GPT chat log, right? That's where the chat log is going to be. And there's a speaker name, and there's a message, and there's some other auto stuff that increments. So let's just keep it simple. Like I said today, like right here, we're going to comment in and say table name for them. No, I was going to say for them chat logs, but let's just say for chat logs. All right, and then let's tell it what we're gonna do with our string. I'm kind of just doing this stuff for general housekeeping because this is how like most people's WordPress stuff looks, and I'm being overly professional because when I'm actually programming stuff really fast, I tend to undercomment. So I'm trying to do the right thing here. So we're gonna open up a new variable. Let's see, and we're gonna need to get our table name. This is a very common WordPress naming convention for all this stuff. Okay, so now we have a private variable ready to handle our table name, and let's now do the next thing, which is we're going to initialize, we're going to use a construct method to initialize and get our table so we can speak with it. And we should just call that like initialize, or like, that's good, initialize the table or whatever, you know. Okay, so we're going to get it moving on our first function here. It's a pretty tiny one. All we're going to do is use the construct method here, or the construct function. So let's go for a construct, and then we are going to, by the way, that is 2 double underscores right there in order to get the construct function. So this is going to fire up very first thing, and obviously we need to access the global WordPress database. Now remember, you guys, this is built into WordPress, so it knows what to do when you call for this. It's basically letting it know you're going to talk to the database. And so remember, we use this to refer to the class we're in so it doesn't get confused. And we're going to say that table name variable above. I'll explain this in 2 seconds again, just to make sure you guys are following me. We need to get our WordPress database. Remember, this is a built-in class in WordPress that we can call to predefined functions. Prefix. Remember, the prefix in our database by default is WP underscore. Remember, when you install WordPress, 9 out of 10 times, WP underscore is the default unless you manually changed it, which Highly likely you did not, unless you have like some advanced reason to do so. Okay, so likely it's going to be that. And then what was our database table name? Yes. It was GPT chat log. Excellent. So now we have access to our database. Look at that. This is not that hard, okay? And like I said, we could have just copied this from another pre-existing one and changed what we needed to, but I figured I would at least go through and show you how it's done. So obviously we opened up a new class. We're calling it GPT chat database. We're giving it a variable string of a private table name, which contains nothing by this point. It's just a variable. Then right here, we initialize the table name. So we use the construct method, which fires when this class gets built. And it accesses the global WordPress database and brings it in. And then it allows us to use it to get prefixes and read and write and all kinds of stuff. And so we're setting this table name to the prefix. And remember, this is concatenation. It just makes two strings one, GPT chat log. Or actually, these need to be underscores, don't they? Or do they? Actually, you know what? Let's just go look at the database. Oh yeah, it is underscores. Okay, take a look. Aha. So it is. It's underscores. All right. So back over here, it is underscores. So that's going to end up just right. It's going to be WP underscore GPT underscore chat underscore log. And like I said, if you look back here, look, that exists right here. And look, it already has ID, speaker name, message, and timestamp because we created that in a previous video. So that's how that stuff exists. All right, so on we move. And to the next thing, to keep this video short, we're only going to do one of our 4 functions in this video, okay? Which is we're going to insert a new message into the database. So let's say this inserts a new message into our chat log. Beep, boop, blah. Okay. I could give it the parameter breakdown of like what each thing does and all that stuff, but I'm debating how much I want to comment. It's okay. It's all right. I'm just going to keep it simple. I'm not going to go overboard commenting. This is usually how I end up hurting myself. Like a Pokemon that's confused in battle, it hurts itself in confusion. I kind of do that when I don't comment enough, but you know, whatever. So we're going to start by doing a public function, and we're going to call this insert. Let's do insert message. That's fine. Okay, and this is going to take 2 parameters. We're going to need the speaker because obviously we only want the same speakers talking to the database, and we're going to need what the heck they're saying, and that's their message, right? So now we're going to be writing a function that's going to, when we call it from the WordPress anywhere else in our plugin, it's going to ask for insert message, and it's going to say, but I need a speaker and I need a message. And obviously it's going to be Godzilla and Mothra in this case. You don't have to, well, you do need the speaker. It's important for a couple reasons, and you'll see why later on. But in our case, we're going to keep it really simple, like I said, by just doing Godzilla and Mothra. Okay. How about, once again, we're going to call to our global WordPress because we're going to be speaking to the database right here. So we need to call it into here as well. WPDB. Welcome back, little buddy. And you know what? Give me some space, dude. Yeah, excellent. All right, so what we're going to do first is we're going to validate our inputs. We're going to do a little bit of data validation. We're going to try to make sure that it's either Godzilla or Mothra who is in fact saying something if they can't even speak English, which we both know that they can. So in array, we're going to say if it's not in the array, which is the speaker coming in, and we're going to say if it's not in the array, because we're going to send it as an array. If inside the speaker array is containing, here we go, got to open up that, and we're going to say Godzilla. I'll explain this code in just a second to you. Inside the brackets, and then we're going to say, actually, single quotes, and then we're going to say Mothra. I know Mothra can't speak English. Bing, mom. All right, so now we're validating our input, and what we're basically saying is when the speaker comes in, it's going to come in as this array, and we're going to say if in array speaker, if not in array, this is like saying if it's not in there, Godzillas, or Mothra, then we need to like say, hey, this speaker is not the right speaker or whatever. But in this case, what we're going to do is we're just going to return false, because that will basically exit this function and not allow the database to be written to, because you are not Godzilla, my friend, and you are not Mothra either. And so those are the only 2 monsters that are allowed to speak in the monster mash. So the rest of you have to leave. So now that we have determined that Godzilla is speaking or Mothra is speaking, now we can insert the message. Like, give me the contents. What are you trying to say? And so in that scenario, we're going to say insert the message. Bam. Okay, so we're going to return. Let's see. We need to be talking to the WordPress database, and we need to do an insert function. Remember, WPDB allows us to speak to the WordPress database directly. So we're going to run an insert method, and we're going to open that guy up, and we're going to give it a little bit of space. So the first thing it's going to ask for, I know, little buddy. There we go. So the first thing it's going to ask for is the table. All right, so anyway, we're going to go ahead and open it up with our, let's see, we need to use this because we want to refer to the class we're in, and then we're going to go for, you guessed it, table name, because that's obviously where we're going to put this as messages, and then we need to do two things here. First, we're going to open up a internal array, and we're going to need two parameters, which is speaker name, because that's what we're taking in the database, and we need to tell it the speaker name is, guess who? Dang, it's the speaker. I know, you never saw that coming. You never saw this coming. And then the message is gonna be, oh my God, you got it, didn't you? The message that we're passing in the function itself, right? We're passing speaker and message, and so we're just putting those straight through. But we are going to do something a little more fancy as well, which is we're going to validate the data going into the database as string types. So we're gonna use a format array here, and we're going to tell it what each thing is. So the first one going in is a %s. Okay, they have this for different things, whether it's a variable or a float or any of that kind of thing. In this case, we're telling it the speaker name is a string, right? That's what this is doing. It's telling that to the database. And guess what the one for message is too? Once again, you never saw this come. And that is the message is string. All right. So look, I think we're going to go ahead and end it right there after 12 minutes. I feel pretty good that that's a 12-minute scenario. We didn't have going like 35 minutes. So let's just recheck what's going on here. And don't worry, we're going to build on this really quickly in the next videos and then start to use it. So we basically created a new database, a new chat class, which handles interacting with our database, which is misspelled and all this stuff. Anyway, and then we gave it the name of the class, we gave it a table name, we initialized, and we made sure to access the WordPress database. We used the construct method to open it up. We gave it the database name of our database, which is going to contain our messages. We inserted a new message into our chat log, and then we creating a new public function called insert message, and it has a speaker and a message as the parameters it takes, accesses the WordPress global variables, checks if in the array the speaker is Godzilla or Mothra. That's a little bit of data verification. If that wasn't there, it would just insert the message with whatever the speaker is. So if you don't want to validate those, you can always pull those guys out. Or you can make the database bigger. If you have like 7 speakers, you can put them all in there. Return. So if it gets here, it's going to return that it goes in and it, and then we insert the last message, or we insert that message into the database. And it's going to work because we're using an insert method right here. So, all right. So that pretty much takes us over the hurdle for this part of at least getting our chat GPT database class put into here, like our class to speak with it. And that's a big step already done. So in the next video, we're probably going to write either a couple of the functions, or we're going to write all 3 remaining functions, which are going to be, since we already got done with insert message, our next 3 functions are going to be getting the last message, getting all the messages, and clearing the chat log. And then we can move on to where we actually start to use this bad boy, and we can go get an API key and all that stuff and everything. I'm getting kind of excited because we're going to move into actually doing the GPT part. So anyway, thank you guys for watching, and for people who have subscribed and for people who have commented. Sorry that I left you guys in the wind. Like I said, I have like 8 different things going on, and so I'm trying my best to make sure I still make YouTube videos in the meantime when I have like any time at all, so to edit and all that stuff. So anyway, all right guys, thank you so much. Once again, if you haven't subscribed, subscribe, will you? And I look forward to seeing you guys in the next part. See ya.